background. To kick off the month of May, we're proud to partner with our internal Asian American Pacific Islander Employee Network, known as APIX, to celebrate AAPI heritage and also support relief work in India, to assist in COVID-19 related emergencies, but also to help end poverty and achieve social justice. To learn more about Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, please check out asianpacificheritage.gov. In terms of our mission, currently we're at T-minus 9.5 minutes and all systems are go for an on-time liftoff tonight. There are a few major milestones to watch out for during our launch. The first is stage separation. This is where the first and second stages separate from each other about 2.5 minutes after liftoff. After stage SEP, the first stage will return back to Earth and attempt its record-breaking 10th landing on our drone ship called Just Read the Instructions. Now, while that's happening, our second stage will continue on its journey. In order to get our satellites to their intended orbit tonight, we have 2 coast phases, and we'll be igniting our Merlin vacuum engine twice, with the eventual deployment of our Starlink satellites occurring around T plus 1 hour 4 minutes. Currently, we're just under 9 minutes to liftoff, and all systems are go for an on-time liftoff this evening. With that being said, let's take a closer look at the rocket you see on your screen. Here's a live view of Falcon 9. It's our 2-stage liquid-fueled rocket. Falcon 9 is approximately 229 feet tall. That's slightly taller than a 21-story building. And like I mentioned earlier, we're flying today's booster for a record-breaking 10th time today. This particular first stage booster first flew on the crew demo is that white Falcon 9 second stage vacuum engine. We call it the MVAC engine. Once first and second stage separate at 2.5 minutes after liftoff, the MVAC engine will ignite and eventually carries the Starlink satellites into an elliptical orbit around the Earth. And at the very top, you'll notice the large nose cone at the very top of the rocket. This is called our fairing. That's where the stack of 60 brand new Starlink satellites is safely enclosed. The fairing protects the satellites from aerothermal heating, aerodynamic loads, and contamination during its ascent. Once we reach the vacuum of space, we'll jettison those 2 fairing halves as the second stage continues on its journey to orbit. And similar to our first stage, this fairing assembly is protecting our payload tonight previously flew on the GPS-3 Space Vehicle 4 mission, and we'll be attempting to retrieve each fairing half from the water using the recovery ship Sheila Bordelon. In terms of propellant loading, we began loading prop since T-minus 35 minutes, and it's still ongoing. We use a rocket-grade kerosene, known as RP1, as our fuel, and we use a super-chilled liquid oxygen, known as LOX, as our oxidizer, and when combined, they help power the Falcon 9. Currently, RP1 and LOX are nearly fully loaded on both stages, and LOX will continue to be topped off right until the final minutes of the countdown.
Stage 1 RP1 load is complete.
In terms of weather, the latest forecast is 80% favorable for liftoff, and weather conditions look good for booster recovery as well. With that, the vehicle, the satellites, the weather, and the range are all looking good for an on-time liftoff just a few minutes from now. But if for some reason we do not launch today, we have a backup launch opportunity available tomorrow, Monday morning at 2:21 a.m. Eastern Time. For those of you following SpaceX, you know that it's been an exciting time for the development of our Starship launch system. Just a few days ago, on Wednesday, May 5th, Starship serial number 15, known as SN15, successfully completed SpaceX's 5th high-altitude flight test of a Starship prototype from Starbase, Texas. Our Starship spacecraft and Super Heavy rocket, collectively referred to as the Starship, are designed to be a fully reusable transportation system that can carry both crew and cargo to Earth's orbit, the Moon, Mars, and beyond. Similar to previous high-altitude flight tests of Starship, serial number 15 was powered through ascent by its 3 Raptor engines, with each shutting off in sequence prior to the vehicle reaching its apogee, approximately 10 kilometers above sea level. SN15 then performed a propellant transition to the internal header tanks, which hold landing propellant, before reorienting itself for re-entry and a controlled aerodynamic descent. Finally, the Raptor engines ignited as the vehicle performed the landing flip maneuver immediately before successfully touching down on the landing pad. Now, these test flights and pathfinders are all about developing a transportation system that can help humanity return to the Moon, travel to Mars, and even go beyond. Please stay tuned for additional test flights in the days ahead, and be sure to check our social media accounts for more Starship updates. We're currently about 4 minutes from liftoff, and Falcon 9 is now moving into those final stages of the countdown. We're currently waiting for the next milestone. That's where the transporter erector, or the TE, will retract. That's the white painted structure right next to the vehicle. First, you'll see here, it's happening right now. Actually, the TE clamps have opened, and then the transporter erector will begin to retract away from the rocket ever so slightly, just a few degrees. You can see it happening right now, actually. And then it'll wait there for a few minutes, and then it'll move again at T-0. Hydraulics are going to pull the TE farther away from Falcon 9 as it lifts off and helps create space for Falcon 9 to clear the pad. Think of the TE as kind of the umbilical cord to the rocket. It provides liquids, gases, electrical connections, all to the second stage, and also provides air conditioning to the payload fairing.
If you're currently joining, we have the live feed of Starlink Falcon 9 from SpaceX, credit SpaceX, and consider subscribing this channel. We have all our social medias coming up on the screen. Even Nightbot is giving you links. So we have so as we have heard this call out, we have the first stage prop loading complete. That the first stage propellant, that's the liquid oxygen, has loaded. Now we will have a startup next. That will just be the computers in the engine. I mean, the rocket will go startup. This is the fairing, as you can see, which will be recovered by Sheila Bordelon, a contracted vessel by SpaceX. Reusability allows SpaceX to reduce cost per flight. They will also try to recover the first stage on their drone ship. Just read the instructions. As soon as we get the confirmation for startup, the flight computers will start to check the pre-launch checklist, and at around T-1 minutes, we will get a ignition check, and we have second stage LOX loading complete. The second stage has also been filled with fuel. We will update a timer soon. So as you can see here, we will soon be seeing the startup, and we are pressurizing the engines. We will also have an engine chill soon, so stay tuned. And I am shifting over to SpaceX Live.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
We've heard that startup call out, and we're now waiting for that final go for launch call out from our launch director.
Falcon 9, Starlink, LD's go for launch.
We're ready to go. Falcon 9's ready to go. All systems are go for launch. Now let's listen into the terminal count and watch as Falcon 9 takes our 60 Starlink satellites into orbit on its 10th flight.
T-minus 15 seconds.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition, lift off. This Falcon 9 has cleared the tower. So as you can see, it's a beautiful flame coming out there. there is awesome flames that are coming from the Merlin 1D engine.
All right, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Pad 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, carrying yet again another stack of 60 Starlink satellites to orbit. Just moments ago, we throttled the engines down in preparation for max Q. That's the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure, occurs right after we go supersonic. After this point, we're then able to throttle the engines back
supersonic.
up. That call is just about 10 seconds away.
Max Q.
We've successfully crossed the max Q threshold. We're throttling
Max
our
Q is
Merlin
the-
engines.
Max Q is the max pressure that the rocket will face while exiting the atmosphere of the Earth. So first we'll have the main engine cut off, then we'll have stage separation, and then we'll have second engine start. So please stay tuned in.
They slow the vehicle down in preparation for stage sep. And that's where, once again, the first stage and second stage separate. Stage 1 makes its way back down to sea level for landing, and Stage 2 continues its primary mission, along with the fact that the MVAC engine lights up and propels that second stage, along with the
Falcon 9
Starlink
is
satellites to
following
orbit.
a nominal trajectory.
We're 30 seconds away from those events. Falcon 9 continues to be on nominal trajectory. Our MVAC engine is starting to chill to prepare for that second engine start just about 20 seconds from now. And shortly after these three events, our fairing will deploy and expose the Starlink satellites to the vacuum of space.
Main engine cutoff.
Stage separation confirmed.
MVAC ignition.
All good news so far. The 9 Merlin engines have shut down. Our first and second stages are heading their separate ways, and our MVAC engine has begun burning and will continue to do so for about the next 6 minutes.
Fairing separation confirmed.
We have confirmation, and you can see it there. The two fairing halves have jettisoned and are heading back down. As a reminder, this is the second flight for these fairing halves, and we'll be attempting to recover them once again via a wet recovery from the contracted recovery vessel Sheila Bordelon. Everything is nominal so far.
Both vehicles continue to follow nominal trajectories.
We're just about 4 minutes after liftoff. For those of you just joining us, we have a lot going on. On the right-hand side of your screen, you can see our second stage and its MVAC engine is burning, carrying 60 Starlink satellites to orbit. And on the other hand, we have our first stage beginning its 10th recovery attempt. As stage 2 continues to burn, as you see here, stage 1 is actually going to execute two separate burns in order to make its way back to Earth. The first of which is the entry burn. Just a little more than 2 minutes from now, 3 of those M1D engines will reignite. This helps slows the first stage down as it re-enters the upper part of the Earth's atmosphere and reduces the loads on the vehicle. After that burn starts, ends, and is confirmed successful, we get ready for our final burn, the landing burn. It's a single center engine burn that brings the vehicle speed down rapidly in order to land on the drone ship safely. And as a reminder, we can't stress it enough, tonight marks the 10th flight for this particular first stage. This is a record for our Falcon 9 rocket's life cycle. This particular booster first debuted on our Crew Demo 1 mission just over a year ago. Now, reusability is critical to what we do at SpaceX. This fact that we can reuse our first stages, it allows us to refly the most expensive parts of the rocket, which in turn drives down the ultimate cost to space access. And although this is the 10th time for this rocket, we first reused the orbital class rocket on the SES-10 mission back in March of 2017. It just goes to show how far we've come since then. We're about a minute away from that entry burn beginning. That burn should last for about 20 seconds. Now we're about 30 seconds away from that first stage entry burn igniting. The center engine will ignite at first. 2 more engines will ignite shortly after that. The Merlins on this first stage are optimized to operate at sea level, and they achieve about 190,000 pounds of thrust apiece during ascent and descent. Just a few
Stage
seconds
1
away.
FTSS saved.
Few seconds away from the entry burn.
So if you are just joining, we have this entry burn from the Falcon 1 stage 1 that will entry burn to enter the atmosphere and reduce its velocity. To enter the atmosphere, it will need a burn to deorbit from its original space orbit, after which it will do a landing burn. So we have the entry burn shut down. Now it will continue to fall. After some time, we'll have an landing burn, after which the landing legs deploy and the drone ship just read the instructions. We'll receive the Falcon 9 stage 1 where it will land. We still have the second stage ignited, and soon this will shut down. Sorry. After the landing has been done, we'll have the second stage cut off. That's the SECO. So stay tuned.
Rocket. And if you watch the feed, like you saw just there, you saw that soot starting to fly up and stick to the lens. And we're only about 20 seconds away from that landing burn starting. And also during that time, our 4 landing legs will deploy while that single engine is firing to help us safely land on just read the instructions.
Stage 1, landing burn startup.
See it?
So we have a landing burn has begun, and soon the this second camera, where you can see it's the drone ship, is trying to catch this. I mean, landing legs deployed. There will be a downlink of both cameras due to fire and all, and we have a confirmed landing. That's good. That's the 10th flight of the booster, and it has recovered. It is the 83rd recovered booster of the Falcon 9 family, and that's a very good moment. We need claps. And we have now a SECO 1, that's the second stage, will now cut off and will stay in orbit. So we are now in a good parking orbit. The Spacex is confirmed, and now we have the SECO, that's the second engine cut off 1. They'll stay in this orbit for around 45 minutes from 45 minutes from launch. That's like 36 minutes. So stay tuned. And we have the booster camera, and this will be the coast phase. As you can see, there are grid fins too on the boosters. This helps to control the aerodynamics. These are titanium and can be very expensive for SpaceX, but reusability makes it cheap. So stay tuned. So as you can see here, we have a good view. We had a view of Starlink satellites. This is the 28th batch of 60 Starlink satellites. They will be positioned in low Earth orbit. The Starlink is a satellite internet mission initiated by Elon Musk and Spacex. So their motto is to provide satellite internet with unlimited bandwidth and unlimited data. As you can see here, we have space dust coming in, particles, and after this next event is the second engine restarts, and we have then SECO 2. The second engine restart will give a needed spin to the payload, after which at around t plus 1 hour we will have the payload deploying. We had even the fairings had deployed, and I think they will be recovered by Sheila Bordelon, the contracted vessel of Spacex. Thank you. Please do join our Discord, links in the description and the live chat. We also have Facebook, Electronics Pitara. We also have Instagram, Twitter and YouTube. They are on the screen and links in the descriptive description. So yeah, and we are also in Buy Me a Coffee, but currently it's not accepting any donations. You can just follow us there. Please do subscribe if you are watching on YouTube. If you are on watching on Instagram, like any of them is seeing this on Instagram, do follow and hit the like and heart button if any of the services has this function. Thank you. The rocket will orbit the Earth for around more 29 minutes, after which we'll have second stage engine restart, and then SECO 2, and soon payload deployment. So the rocket is just now currently in parking orbit, where it will go around the Earth maybe once. And we have acquisition of signal. We had lost a signal between the SpaceX had lost, but it's just because of remote areas, and this is which SpaceX is working on to get signals in remote area. It's not their own benefit, but their motto is to give access to remote areas to the internet, so we support them. Those of you joining us right now, we had a successful launch on time, after which the Falcon 9 booster stage 1 successfully landed on a drone ship. Just read the instructions. We had a second engine ignition perfectly, and second engine cutoff one was also the last event. The rocket is in parking orbit, and it is currently in the coast phase. So stay tuned, and if you're watching this, consider subscribing. There are a lot of perks. You subscribe us, you join the Discord. The Nightbot is also giving you links to all the social media. The social medias are also coming up on screen, and so stay tuned. We have next event on T plus 45 minutes. That's just 24 minutes from now. Thank you. You can use the live chat and live feed credits to SpaceX.
Detected loss of signal, good heli.
those of you joining us right now, please consider subscribing us and hit the like button. We also have the social media accounts, so do check them out too. And we will have a second stage restart soon, shortly, in around 10-14 minutes. So stay tuned, do not go anywhere. If you want to take a break, just drink water. I'm just joking. Just stay tuned and don't leave this stream. And I will be I will be also doing another live stream on rocket launch soon after I get any other mission updates, any other mission that's upcoming. There will be a stream for that. So stay tuned, and I'll also be making a video on Starlink, so do check them out. It will be coming either on Monday or Tuesday. we are soon approaching a second stage engine restart, so stay tuned. Don't leave because it's just 7 minutes away. 7 minutes away, guys. Stay tuned.
Acquisition of signal, Diego Garcia.
So if you're just tuning in, we are approaching second stage engine restart, and till now we had a successful launch on time, after which we had first stage engine cutoff and stage separation. This was the 10th flight of a SpaceX Falcon 9 booster, and this was the first time a booster has flown in double digits. So after stage separation, we had second stage ignition. Second stage had engine ignition. Then the first stage conducted a entry burn so that it could deorbit, and enter the atmosphere. Soon after which it had a landing burn to reduce its velocity, and we had landing legs deploying. Then it had landed on the Just Read Instructions drone ship of SpaceX. We then had a second stage cutoff, and now the second stage is in parking orbit, and we have a coast phase right now. Just 3 minutes from now, we will have a slight burn for a second or two, which will give a necessary spin to the payload and the rocket, which will then be followed by a cutoff again, and soon after, I think 20 minutes, we will have the payload deploying. We'll soon be updating you through a comment in the comment on this live whether or not has the fairing been recovered by Sheila Bordelon, a contracted vessel. All space, all these parts that SpaceX recovers from the Pacific Ocean usually. Reusability is a key to SpaceX for reducing costs. SpaceX is not like any other government agencies just for country missions. They are a commercial space company like Rocket Labs and Jeff Bezos run Blue Origin. SpaceX is run by Elon Musk, the CEO of current leading electric car company Tesla. After the payloads deploy, this will mark the deploying of the 28th batch of 60 Starlink satellites. So stay tuned.
Welcome back to the live webcast of SpaceX's 27th Starlink mission. We'll catch you up to speed. We had an on-time liftoff at 2:42 a.m. Eastern Time, and tonight's first stage had a record-breaking successful 10th flight and successful 10th recovery. In terms of our second stage, everything is still looking good. We're on a nominal trajectory, and we're getting ready for the SES-2 event in a few seconds. It'll be very short compared to SES-1 in comparison, just 1 second long of our MBAC engine. And after that, we'll go back into a coast phase, but coasting's putting it lightly. The vehicle's currently traveling at about 7.7 kilometers per second. That's over 17,000 miles per hour, a very fast journey for our 60 Starlink satellites. We may not have video of this event coming up, but currently the vehicle's over the Indian Ocean, and we're going to wait for those call-outs just a few seconds from now. Event is confirmed as being good. We'll wait to see if we have a good orbit before we continue our second coast phase before payload deploy.
Those of you seeing this, we won't be able to have video footage of the second stage engine restarting because it's of the Indian Ocean and there's a slight disruption of the connections there, and once it's confirmed I'll let you know. And this rocket right now, this whole thing is flying at around 17,000 kilometers an hour. That's too fast, and we'll be soon be going into a coast phase. This will be a short one. Soon we'll get soon we'll be going in coast phase. Sorry, I had some confirmations. I'll be receiving some confirmations. I pause. So we have gone in a coast phase now. We had second stage restart, very perfect. We couldn't get a live footage due to network coverage not being there, and we will this is now giving a natural momentum to the satellites, so stay tuned. those of you just tuning in, we had a successful second engine restart, and we had a SECO 2. Now we are moving forward at T plus 1 hour 3 minutes for the 60 satellites to deploy in their orbit. This will not be the final orbit. This will be just an transfer orbit. From there they will be they'll take their position in the low Earth orbit. Starlink is a satellite internet mission initiated by Elon Musk and Spacex. Their motto is to give worldwide internet through satellites. As satellites orbit around the Earth, there's a wide coverage to remote areas too. Currently, this internet is available on beta on their site starlink.com. So you can buy their setup for around $500 with $100 monthly charge fee. Just now it's in beta, so it may be expensive. Soon they promise to reduce costs and provide worldwide internet. So this is the 28th batch of 60 satellites that are being deployed. There are more than 1,000 satellites in orbit till date, and some of them have two retired. They were the version 0.90. This is the version 1.00, and stay tuned in. We'll have the payload deploying soon.
AOS Tasmania.
So as you can see, we finally got a shot from the camera on the second stage. So SpaceX has a habit of doing webcasts, and it has fit many cameras on the rockets in their stage separator, like interstage, on their first stage, and even on the second stage. Usually this orbit in which they are trying to deploy is over some remote territory, so they couldn't get a good communication from the rocket, though it was communicating all the telemetry data, but we weren't getting any camera data. So finally they have achieved a signal. SpaceX had also lost a couple of minutes of telecommunication from the rocket, but it was soon re-achieved. And Starlink's motto is to stop this from happening, and it's not only their profit but also the world's profit by giving access to remote territories. Like you can see, the orbit for this payload is usually below Australia, and I think it's just above Antarctica, and we'll soon be now having a payload deploying, and it will be a very nice moment to see if we get some good view of it. There's this one strap that comes out of it, and all the satellites just rush accordingly to the into their transfer orbit. So just wait for a few minutes, we will soon be getting a view. We are giving full credits to SpaceX for this feed.
Good morning and welcome back once again to our broadcast for our 27th Starlink mission. One small note, shortly after we entered our current coast phase, we confirmed that our second engine start and shutoff was successful. We're currently in a good orbit awaiting payload deploy. But if you're just joining us, we'll quickly recap today's mission, starting off with a successful liftoff from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station at 2:42 a.m. Eastern Time. We then had successful stage separation. We recovered our first stage for the 10th time on our drone ship, and we had 2 successful second stage MVAC engine startups. Right now, we're coming up on deployment of our stack of 60 Starlink satellites. It's just about 30 seconds away, while our second stage is in between Australia and New Zealand. And you see it right there, actually.
As we can see, we had this payload separation over New Zealand, between New Zealand and Australia. It's a good view. We had that anchor come off and they are now floating away. So that's cast to an end. So that's they have end. So that's that will mark the end of this their webcast. So as they say, head over to starlink.com and just go and beta test them. And happy Mother's Day to all of them who are viewing. So we will now stop and go to pre-bid post.